The shocking trade that would have changed what the Phoenix Suns look like today. A report coming out that Bradley Beal was almost a member of the Miami Heat, but Beal decided that he wanted to head to the Valley of the Sun and team up with Kevin Durant and Devin Booker instead of Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. We're going to break down this report right here on Suns Digest. My name is CJ Pierre. Thanks for joining us, you guys. We appreciate all love and support. We are going to break down this report as how Bradley Beal was very close to possibly being a member of the Miami Heat. Before we get into that, we noticed that about 81% of you guys are watching our videos, and we appreciate that, but you haven't subscribed to the channel just yet. If you want to make sure you're keeping up to date with all the latest Phoenix Suns news and updates, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a thing that we are going to have cooking up for you guys. All right. Now, we're going to get into this report of Bradley Beal almost being a member of the Miami Heat as the Heat tried to trade for Beal a couple of off seasons ago. This is the off season that were before Beal ended up in Phoenix, and the Miami Heat tried to make a push to try and get Beal on their team, teaming up with Jimmy Butler and Bradley Beal, which could have completely changed what the Suns looked like last season. Reporter David Aldridge, one of the most prominent names in the NBA, went on the Yahoo Sports podcast recently to talk about the possibility of Bradley Beal reportedly going to Miami. Is the good word with Goodwill. With Yahoo's reporter Vincent Goodwill. That's the podcast that David Aldridge appeared on. David Aldridge is a prominent name, been with ESPN, been with NBA TV, TNT, one of the most well-respected reporters in the entire game, is the one who kind of let this news out that this was something that was in the works. This is what DA, as they call him, said. The Miami Heat, were in on Beal. Beal said no. I want to go to Phoenix. He had the stupid no trade clause, as David Aldridge called it, that the Wizards stupidly gave him. But yeah, they were going for Beal, they being the Heat, but he just said, nah, fam, no thanks. I'm not trying to go to the Miami Heat. I want to play with Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. So if you try and take a look at, what that means about what the Phoenix Suns were building, he looked and saw what they had in Phoenix was something that he wanted to be a part of and he thought could build to be a championship. Now, obviously we saw what last year was. Beal had his struggles. The Suns got swept in the first round by the Minnesota Timberwolves, so it wasn't the ideal start, but he's here now. He still has his contract and he's still a member of the big three that is still looking forward into next season. But the Miami Heat, there were thoughts that is something that he might be interested in, maybe teaming up with Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. Here's a proposed trade that the Heat could have offered to the Wizards to get Bradley Beal at that time. Bradley Beal heading to Miami. The Wizards would have got Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, Nikola Vucic, the 2027 first round pick, Miami's 2027 first round pick, and their 2029 first round pick. Two first round picks and three young players for Bradley Beal. If you try and take a look at what that would have ended up making the Wizards look like, the Wizards would have got Tyler Hero, one of the best shooters in the game. Duncan Robinson, another one of the best shooters in the game. Tyler Hero, a little bit more dynamic offensively. Duncan Robinson, a pure sniper. And then Nikola Vucic, I think, is one of them. We're going to be surprised young talents in the league. I think he's going to take a really good step up this coming year for the Miami Heat. And then they would have got two first round picks. If you we try and see what that ended up looking like in terms of what the Heat could have ended up like. You end up with Jimmy Butler, Bradley Beal, Bam Adebayo. Does that put the Heat over the top in the Eastern Conference? Does that make them better than, the Boston Celtics? Does that put them better than the Philadelphia 76ers? I think it's hard to say. I think it really all depends. I feel like Bradley Beal on that team probably is the number one option. He's the best pure scorer of that particular big three, opposed to where on the Suns' big three, where he's Devin Booker and Bradley Beal and Kevin Durant. They're all, top flight scorers. I'd probably put Kevin Durant Devin Booker B with Bradley Beal right underneath Devin Booker in terms of just pure scoring ability. Whereas if he was on the Heat, I feel like he becomes the number one option. But I think when you look at David Aldridge said, Bradley Beal just said no. I think he saw a better opportunity to win with the Phoenix Suns as opposed to what the Miami Heat had to offer. So that kind of kind of goes over that. The Miami Heat were in on Beal. They tried to see if they could get him, and that could have changed what the Phoenix Suns look like today. But Beal said no with his, as David Aldridge called it, stupid no trade clause. But now let's look forward and look at what Beal's potential impact on the Suns will be during the 2024-2025 season. As we know, last year was a bit disappointing in terms of what Beal's contributions were for the Phoenix Suns. I know we all had high hopes. Injuries, I know, played a role. He wasn't, with playing with the team early on. There were injuries to Kevin Durant. Devin Booker missed some time, and the chemistry just never really came together. Not to mention with the fact that there was some friction between, at the time, head coach Frank Vogel and the rest of the players that kind of bled into what we saw in the playoffs. Stagnant offense, not really seeing at the as the team was very connected. And we're hoping with new head coach Mike Budenholzer, he'll be able to really unlock the offensive potential of this team. If we take a look at the Suns depth chart, projected depth chart, this is kind of a tentative thing right now. It's not necessarily the depth chart I envision that the Suns will have, but we'll just take a look at it right now. They have starters Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, Grayson Allen, Kevin Durant, and Yusuf Nurkic, with guys like Tyus Jones, Josh Okogie, Monte Morris, Royce O'Neal, Mason Plumlee, and Bol Bol. In the rotation in some respects, Ryan Dunn, Oso Ighodaro, the rookies that are on the team, as in there as well. Damian Lee with limited playing time, and then you've got the two-way guys, Colin Gillespie, Ty Ty Washington Jr., and Jalen Bridges, the undrafted rookie from this upcoming season. I think this depth chart is going to look very different compared to what you see here. I expect Tyus Jones to be the starting point guard with this team, with Devin Booker and Bradley Beal kind of moving into the shooting guard, small forward dual role. They're just both going to be wings, with Kevin Durant for Yusuf Nurkic at the five, with Monte Morris being the primary backup point guard, with Grayson Allen being the kind of perimeter wing player that comes off the bench, with Royce O'Neal seeing some time, and then you've got, feel like Josh Okogie and Bol Bol will be kind of fighting for minutes at the back end of that rotation. Mason Plumlee is your backup big man. I feel like that's pretty locked in personally. So I think that when you take a look at what Beal can do as a member of that rotation, I think he's going to find similar. I don't want to say struggles, but I think he's going to have to find time finding his shot. I think it's going to be up to Mike Budenholzer to really stagger up the rotation so that when Beal's on the court, he's not necessarily just out there with Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. He's camped out in the corner. I think if he's in the game with guys like Monte Morris and Grayson Allen and Royce O'Neal, even more so than with the other members of the big three, I think he'll have an opportunity to find some more footing. Yes, he'll be the key um, offensive player, but I think he'll actually excel a lot more if he's playing with more of the reserve players. Now, that kind of begs the question, should Bradley Beal come off the bench? Should he just be the sixth man of this team? And maybe they start a lineup that includes maybe Tyus Jones, Grayson Allen, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, and Nurkic, with Bradley Beal being the sixth man off the bench? Personally, I say no. I don't think that's something that should happen or even can happen. I say should because I think Bradley Beal is very, very talented. I think he's got a lot more to show offensively. I think last year was just more so of an off year, trying to fit into Frank Vogel's offensive system, which really, for the most part, didn't really have a true identity. I think with head coach Mike Budenholzer, he'll be able to find more spots for Bradley Beal to excel and succeed, even with on the while on the court with two other guys who are gonna need them shots themselves. That being Kevin Booker and Kevin Durant. I do think that he'll benefit the most in terms of playing with the other reserves. But I feel like you can just stagger up the rotations, change things up, and you can kind of solve that problem. And I think Abil will is in line to have a much better season regardless. Now, in terms of the expectations that some other, reputable sites have. Hoops Hype releasing their top 100 rankings. They've got Bradley Beal as the 73rd best player in the NBA. They're also projecting that as well in terms of what he will be able to contribute. And I think that is, an assessment that I don't necessarily agree with. There are guys that are on this ranking that he's behind that I do think he's better than. He's behind guys like Josh Giddey. He's behind Kobe White. He's behind Jalen Johnson from Atlanta, Miles Bridges from Charlotte, Michael Porter from Denver. I think Bradley Beal, a former All-Star player, I still think he has a lot in the tank, a lot of gas left to give And I think he's going to have an opportunity to prove it with Mike Budenholzer at the helm. I think if you take a look at his numbers last season, again, 18 points per game, just not himself. He's a easy 20 points per night, true bucket getter, and I think he's going to have a chance to really show that again. He still shot well from the field, 51% from the field, 43% from 3-point range. I think he has a lot more to prove, a lot more to give, and I think given the opportunity with Mike Budenholzer, I think Bradley Beal has a chance to really have a good bounce back season. I think this is going to be the chance for him to really show that he's still an all-star caliber player. He's still someone that the Suns will rely on moving forward. And I think in terms of again this championship window that the Suns are trying to keep open, I think he'll be a key cog in that, particularly with the time that he still has left on his contract. Another thing to note in terms of like him coming off the bench and that idea, the guy makes over $50 million. You don't bring a $50 million player off the bench. That's just not a thing. So just anyone thinking that, get that out your heads. But that's just what I think. We want to hear from you guys. Hit us up in the comment section below and let us know what you think about Bradley Beal almost being a member of the Miami Heat and what you think his contributions will be this upcoming season. If you want to continue to keep up to date with all the latest Suns news, updates, rumors, speculation, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a thing that we're going to have cooking up for you guys. That's all the time I got for y'all tonight. I appreciate you guys supporting the channel. We're going to keep cooking up stuff as we head into training camp and the preseason start of the NBA season. We cannot wait here at Suns Digest. That's all the time I got. I will catch y'all next time. And go, Phoenix Suns.